is Monday, the 26th of January 2015. It's Australia Day. Australia Day. And the Who's, we always used to have Australia Day at headquarters. But for some reason, in this modern era, of course, it's changed around because at headquarters they find that to open the big new grandstand up, it's a bit of a cooey job. It was free entry today at Canterbury, and there were a lot more patrons turn up than usual, and it was not a bad little meeting, although, gee whiz, there were plenty of runners, runners that won, that were very, very well backed, and they got the cash. Now, very quickly, without driving everybody mad, or 2 or 3 people who happen to tune in here, I'm going to go back to the 17th of January, which was Saturday week ago. There was a meeting, the provincial meeting was at Kembla. The track was good, the rail was 3 metres out. There was a good breeze blowing from the, well, when they turned for home, it was for the first 3 races, a little bit against them in the straight, and then a little bit behind them. And then race 4, I don't know which way the wind was blowing, but then as far as I can work out, by the time race 5 came around, the wind had swung around and it was behind them up the straight, and then maybe it swung around again in race 7, and it might have been against them again in the straight. So the wind did change direction, but I don't think it had any effect on any of the results, and I'm going to treat the meeting as if there was no bias. That was Saturday week ago, as I say. Now, we had our midweek meeting during the week at Warwick Farm, where we had a good track. The rail was normal, and we didn't have a leader to win. But we did have runners that sat right behind the pace, and when leaders got a bit off the fence, turning for home, got inside them, as did the first winner, and maybe another winner later on in the day. Close to the fence was obviously worse than about 5 or 4 off the fence, 4 or 5 off the fence. So, as I say, no leaders won, and it was best to be, well, on the pace, but off the fence, to have the best advantage. And the wind more or less stayed in the same direction all day, and that was out of the northeast, and didn't have any effect on any of the results. Then we went to Wyong on the 22nd, on Thursday, and there was no bias here either. The track was upgraded from a good 4 to a good 3. The rail was 4 metres out from the 1350 to the 210, which they have quite often, where after the 210 metre mark there's a cutaway. And well, as I said, there was no bias. The wind, well, it fiddled and twiddled around. It was behind them up the straight at one stage, and then with them down the side at another stage, and more or less didn't have any effect. And it did ease off towards the end of the day. It was a little bit weaker than it was at the start of the day. Didn't have any effect, and you could lead or you could run on with pace. And up the inside or down the outside, no bias. We went to Randwick on Saturday. Saturday just gone. The track was a good 3. The rail was 8 metres out. There was no bias. You could lead on the fence. Now, the breeze was coming out of the northeast and hitting them in the face down the side and in the straight, but that didn't stop leaders from winning, as did the first winner, Haptic, trained by John O'Shea for Daly, ridden by James McDonald, and it led all the way. The second horse counter attract. It came off its back and sucking along the fence, and ran second, only beaten half a length. And the second pick of the race, Sebring Sung, who sat in the 1-1 position, had every possible chance to finish up running third, was beaten 2.8 lengths, having every chance. Now, the figures, I've had an absolute... Why I'm here, I've got to give myself a fair dinkum uppercut here, doing this here tonight. I must be I am a walking, talking, but why I'm doing it, I don't know. Because I've just been absolutely garroted this week. I finished without a sand shoe or a galosha. And the figures on Saturday, God, there was a lot of value there for the captains. In the first race that I've just spoken about, we gave 93%. Oh, God, there was good value there. And there were some runners that just didn't have names to boot. Whoa, gee whiz. You can get a Captain Cookie's licence and they give them away with the paper in the morning. Race 2, we got 102 here. 102 for Mr. Magoo. And who won this race? Oh, well, Marple Miss, the little runner that absolutely trotted in at Wyong last start. Was very well backed, Marple Miss. After opening up 11-2, you might think, even though it started 13-2, there was plenty of $8 given, and it was extremely well backed at one stage of the betting. The favourite, Mersol, it went from $1.80 out to evens, had every possible chance. The winner came off its back in a field of 6 and beat it by 1.8 lengths. The winner beat the Avery fair and square. Race 3, we only gave 95 here. 95, that's all we gave. God, there's some value on the track for the Grumble and Grunters. How in the hell does anybody have a bet with a fixed odds with the filthy cancer of racing? It's got me absolutely cattled. I just can't work it out. And there's one of our big pros, our biggest pro, although there's one pro catching up to our biggest pro. He wants to watch out. He's not going to have that #1 status for very long. There's someone else came along here who's wanting to bet in as much as you want to let him on for. So our #1 pro, he's still #1, he's still current bun, but I'll tell you what, this boy is champing at he's nibbling at his heels, whatever they say. He's right on his heels, and going to clip them very shortly, I think. The next race was race 3, and as I say, 95 given. We only gave 95%, and the favourite won the race, Centre Pivot. Ridden a really controlled race, timed to perfection by James McDonald. The second horse came off his back. Would have been a good result for the captains. Sansiki, whatever they say, Sansalike. It went from $13, a 12-to-1 chance, out to $21.20. So it was 12s to 20s, and it ran second. Was only beaten half a length, but the winner was given a beautiful ride by James McDonald and was able to sit back in 5th position, or 6th position in the field of 7, and round them up with the winner. As I say, it came from second last, the favourite, and the winner, the second horse coming off his back. The others all had their chance in that race. It was slightly held up towards the finish. Proper Madam should have run a clear third, if not maybe even running second, getting squeezed up when Father Schofield tried to push out of a pocket, topping the rise, but was pushed back in by the third horse, and that was what am I talking about? It did run proper Madam, yes, ridden by Schofield. It tried to push out of the pocket, but he couldn't get out of the pocket, and was held up, and should have finished closer, maybe making it a little bit interesting in that race. Race 4, we only gave 97 here, and this race was won by Tahitian Black, stablemate to the favourite who ran second, Inside Job. And the difference here, nothing against this young 3 kilo boy, Brodie Loy. He sat up high and kitted to Inside Job when they topped the rise, and when he did go for it, Horseman Bowman, on the stablemate who came off his back, had his momentum up. When he said, well, come on, we've got to go Inside Job because the stablemate's looming up on our outside here, he didn't have as much up his sleeve as he thought he did. He did kick for a stride and got another neck in front, but unfortunately for favourite backers, the strength of Horseman Bowman was the difference in winning and losing here, because he was a little bit too strong for Brodie Loy towards the finish, and the margin was 0.1 of a length. The winner was extremely well backed, $5.50, opened up 9-2 out to 11-2. No, what am I talking about? 13-2. I saw $7.50 given in the outside ring, and they killed me for $6.50, 11-2. Starting 9-2 only, Tahitian Black, very well backed. It was a better result, the favourite, believe it or not, Inside Job, than the winner for me. And as I say, we only bet 97. There was, with runners like Straturbo, who opened up $7, getting out to $12, not even having a price. So you can imagine what our ledgers look like. Mine was completely upside down. It was an upside down pancake, and before the starter said go, if you would have said to anybody, who wants to buy this ledger for less than what I'm holding, they all would have scarfed it. They would have said, you mad? We don't want to be in your joint. You're a steam tug. Have a look at it. And they bet 97. Oh my God. Race 5. This was won by the Avery, Mariah, ridden by James McDonald, and Team Hawks, sat in 5th position off the fence, outside Medusa's Miss, who had barrier 1, and it was just too good at the finish. The runner that finished up running second led in the race, Role Model. It was resuming for Gay. I own the lead, ridden by Horseman Bowman. He would have been under instructions. Now look, Huey, I own the lead. Of course you do, Gay. Everyone knows that. You go straight to the front on this and try and get as very easy first 600. And just roll up the rise without spending a penny. And when you get to the top of the rise, go for it and kick clear. And if everything works out to plan, you'll get the Bugs Bunny. Well, unfortunately, Mio Destino sat on the outside of Role Model, ridden by T. Marshall, and it made Role Model roll along in this race and go a little bit faster than I think he would have liked. And it did fight on, resuming from a spell very, very well. Beaten 1.8 lengths only. And was a very good run first up. The runner that sat in 3rd position, Miss 10 Pins, who was well in the market, opened up $4.40, got out to $5, back into $4.60, sat in 3rd position and ran 3rd. No excuses for any of the others. The second horse first up was a good run, and the winner was a strong win. Race 6, we only gave 95 here, just to make, we've got to keep spreading that Burley. amongst the grumble and grunters to make sure they don't wander off and go to those filthy fixed odds that the tab are offering all the time, that every time they lay a bet, you can do 3 rolls better at the track. How does anybody do it? Especially if you're a $100 or $50 punter. God, what are you betting with counterfeit with these people? It is a joke at that Randwick. It makes me, as I keep on saying, it makes me absolutely vomit. You look over at those ding-dong machines they've got these days. There they are in the middle, and as soon as someone vacates one, there's someone to take their place. We're standing 30, 40 yards away, and we're betting better than the fixed odds all the time. Like a blind Freddie can find better odds than what they're betting, but they still, they're very well trained, aren't they? Of course, any young person growing up in this country, when they have their first bet on the GGs, on the galloping Who's, well, it's 10 to 1 on. It's not 10 to 1 on, it's 100 to 1 on. But they have their first bet with the cancer of racing, and they don't know that Captain Cookies exist. It was interesting the other day. I was talking to a very sensible chap, and who's got a very good idea about the galloping Who's, and a good friend of his, who's not really a grumble and grunter, and he's a younger person. He said, he turned up at the Who's, and he said, oh yes. He said, how are you? He said, oh, I'm good. He said, do you like anything? He said, is there anything I should back? And as I say, this person's got a very good idea of things, and he said, oh yes, well, I think that maybe number 4 in race 6 has got a very good chance. I think it'll be about, it's got a good chance anyway. I think it might be over the odds. Oh yes, the young chap said. He said, what price will it be? He said, oh look, it's $5.50 at the moment, and you might even get $6 or $6.50, but I think it should be a lot less than that. Well, the young person looked at him. He said, he put his hand on his forehead. He said, are you running a temperature? He said, are you sick? He said, what do you mean? He said, what, $5.50? He said, well, yes, it'll be about that price. He said, what do you mean? He said, what, how will it win? He said, what do you mean? He said, oh, well, I think it should be only around about a $4 to 3 to 1 chance, a $4 chance myself at the best, and I think you'll get 5. He said, "Oh, you must be off your skyrocket. Oh, they'll have to lock you up." He said, "What?" He said, "Oh no." He said, "Well," he said, $1.80. Oh, it's $1.80 chance. What? Oh, you want me to tip you? Oh, So being facetious, all they know as the young grumble and grunters who grew up these days, they know just betting on. They like betting on 2-horse races, the football, and the soccer, and where it's evens and 5 to 4 on. Take 10 to 9 and 10. It's just fair dinkum with them. They haven't got a fair dinkum clue. Race 6 we only gave 95, and this race was won by Dana's Best, as we all know now, has bled for the second time and is banned for racing in Australia. Went straight to the lead, ridden by, didn't he ride a pretty race in this race here, Tommy Terrific. He's got so much praise in the press for it, and they're going to show the apprentices school. They're going to show the apprentices school a film of a race, what not to do. and that was the race where he got beat on Gay's runner Mardy 2 starts ago. They're going to say now, look, you apprentices, see how Tommy Terrific here, when he was at the 800 metre mark, he was daydreaming and he let Jovial Josh Parr go around him. Now, this is what you should not do. You've got to have your wits about you all the time when you're riding these horses, because people are betting section on them, and if you haven't got your wits all the time, well, I'm telling you now, there are other people who have got their wits about them. They'll fair dinkum carve you right up, and they're going to show that race to the apprentices school to show everybody what not to do. It's just like driving a car. A lot of people, when you get into the 3-lane highway or Pacific Highway, certain parts where it's 3 lanes, there are lots of people who just like to get in the middle of the lane and they follow the car in front. Doesn't matter where it goes, it stops, it starts, it goes, they follow, and of course they're doing less than the speed limit, and a lot of times you can just do the speed limit and you can just sort of roll inside that one and roll inside that one and go around here and look up ahead, and you can not break the law but get in front of everybody. So they're going to show that race to the apprentices school to show what you shouldn't do when he went to sleep on Marty. But here on Dana's Best, I'll take odds. Gay, I'll take odds. I own the lead. Gay could have won on this. It went straight to the lead, and it was a smoke to pipe job, and he rated it so well, and all of the other jockeys rated their runners so well too, like bullshit they did. No one took off, and they just let Tommy Terrific roll along. Well, I'm glad I didn't have him out in the race, because I would have been off and say, come on, Tom, you've been smoking that pipe a little bit too long up the front here, son. My horse mightn't beat you home, but I'm telling you what, I'm going to make you do a little bit tougher than you're going to get this picnic up in front. You got the hamper out, son, and you're eating all the cheese. No, you can't do that. Well, I don't think it would have mattered what if something would have gone up and tackled him, because Dana's Best had a good kick in it, and it went away and won by 4.3 lengths at the finish. And you think that they didn't forget to back it. It was $4 out to $4.60, no, $4.40. I won't say the $4.60, $4.40. It did start $3.10 on 1 or 2 boards, hard to get. So it was 7 to 2 to 2s, and the opening favourite, Oriental Lady, were the owners of Oriental Lady. Please step forward. Given a good ride, but maybe a little bit more pressure should have been or taken off before he did, ridden by Brendan Abdullah, but still wouldn't have beat the winner. It ran third, and it was very hard to lay, as I say, from $3.50 out to $4.80 at the end of betting. And it was a pooey result for the captains. Race 7 on Saturday, we only gave 96%. This race was won by 9th Legion, given a good ride, had barrier 1 ridden by James McDonald. It went straight to the front. That's a good idea. Who is, how in the hell, that ball of muscle? Well, I'm not going to comment. It led, that's a good idea. Spur Tonic came across and sat on the south side, made a little bit of use of. It ran last, trained by I Own the Lead. It sat third on the fence, High Esteem. The winner was 5th on the fence, never went around a runner, got up inside the favourite halfway up the straight, won by 1.8 lengths. Coming from back in the field, or midfield, was Mighty Lucky, who ran 4th, and running 3rd in the race from second last down the outside was Houseman, making up a lot of ground. The winner had every possible chance. Maybe that race you run it a few times, you get a few different results. Race 7, similar to this race, and in that second last race we only gave 96, but in the last race we were out on our feet. I don't know about the other captains, but I was fair dinkum fly blown that there was we had 109. We had 9% up our sleeve here. The winner was very well backed by this new pro that I'm talking about, Zin Zanadi, and it was given a charmer by Bold Blake Shin. It sat 4th on the fence, never went around a runner, and it led on the fence Shiraz, And by the we're talking about Shiraz, I said, and also the Avery Harrier jet. There were two announcements, the riding tactics made, but both of those runners, the favourite and the second pick, were to be ridden further back with cover. But after they jumped, there wasn't a lot of pace. Instead of being trapped wide, Clever Karen, he went forward on Shiraz, and finished up finding the lead. Sitting on his outside was Faustus, on its outside was Goldstone 3 wide. The winner tucked away third on the fence and got inside the leader turning for home, after halfway up the straight, and won by 1 length. Run this race over again, you would get a few different results, and possibly the runner that would be shorter in the betting than what it started would be Cleansing Ale. As we all saw, James McDonald, he sat back, and when he tried to push out of the pocket, push Chestnut Road, who's a fairly big lump of a horse, out of the way after they topped the race. Chestnut Road's rider, Tommy Terrific Berry, said, "You're not getting out of that pocket there, James," and he pushed him back in. McDonald had to switch back to the inside. They had a bit of a kick in him, but when he ran up behind them and he was going better than the favourite, who finished up running second at the furlong pole, there was nowhere to go, and he went to the line unextended. That was the meeting. We went to Wyong, that was Saturday. We went to Wyong yesterday, the 25th of January. There was no bias on the track. You could lead and win, or you could come from behind. The track was good. The rail was 2 metres out, and as I say, there was no bias, and there's nothing out of those provincial meetings and the city meetings that I think that you should be following. We got to today's meeting at Canterbury. The track was good. The rail was 3 metres out, and there was no bias on the track. The first race we bet 101%, and the two favourites here got beat. 2 6 to 4. Well, we gave 7 of all one, $2.71 and $2.60 the other. It was a big result for the captains. Serenade won the race, went straight to the lead, ridden by Brendan Abdullah. Had the shades, had the hood on today, and not like at Gosford where he missed the kick and was well back all the way and ran like a 40 to 1 chance. Today, with the hood on, found the bunny and had a good kick in him turning for home, and finished up winning by a good margin. I haven't written the margins down yet. I'm way behind. How do you keep up in this bloody game, trying to get margins, times, and bloody stewards' reports? It's just day after day after day, wall to wall racing. It'll drive you insane. In that first race, Salt Flat, ridden by Horseman Bowman, trained by Darley's trainer J. O'Shea, he bounded in the air a little bit at the start, and when that happened, Horseman Bowman went back, he eased, and he went back to last on the fence. He did make up plenty of ground turning for home, but the winner trotted in, and it finished up running 4th, Salt Flat. In that first race, as I say, we only bet 101. The second race, we only bet 101 as well. Colour of Money, well, Bowman was on this, and he was in exactly the same position he was on the unraced 2-year-old in the first race. But this runner, Colour of Money, who ran behind another owl last start down at Kembla, when they turned for home, he got inside a couple of runners, then hooked off heels. And when he hooked off heels, he knocked, the horse went sideways. It was no fault of Horseman Bowman's. The horse went sideways. When you see the head on, there was a good gap there, and he gave number 8, Wildenstein, a nice bump, and also it copped a backwash of it. Number 4, Kareen's Edge, and Kareen's Edge ran last. Wildenstein ran third and protested against the winner. The betting on the protest being upheld was 80 to 1. It was never going to be upheld, and the winner was eased down towards the finish, finding the line very well and appreciating the step up in distance. Number 1, the opening favourite, another Al, who went from $2.80 out to $3.80, 7 to 4 to 11 to 4 with the owners, please. And another Al, please step forward. They never did. They thought the Who's were on at headquarters, but they, of course, they were on at Canterbury today, and they didn't turn up, so they most probably backed it at the auditorium. That's why there was no money, no section for it at the track. And what must have been nice and short at the Audi, as an auditorium at headquarters when the Who's are on a Saturday, either at Warwick Farm or Canterbury or Rose Hill, and there are 2 or 3 captains who are on the rails who have got agencies there, and they say it's not a bad little steal. Race, and so anyway, that winner, Colour of Money, made up plenty of ground coming from last on the fence to win very well, even though he had to force his way clear to do so. And as I say, number 1 was made a little bit of use of. The instructions would have been, of course, to Brendan Abdallah, I own the lead, make sure you keep it. Race 3, 98% given here only. This was won by the very well-backed Zarbos. $6, opened up $6, got out to $6.50 into $4.80. Hard to get at one stage. Back out to $5, back into $4.80. So it was always firm, the 2 or 3 ways for it in the betting ring. It went straight to the lead early on, but then when they went out of the straight the first time, Olympic Dream crossed it and ran along. Not that quick. It was a nice steady pace ridden by Clever Karen, Olympic Dream. Set up a 3 length break down the back straight. And then, of course, the winner was able to zod in behind it. And even though it did lead by the 3 or 4 lengths, they didn't go that hard. And by the time they were just arriving at the turn, it more or less had enough, Olympic Dream. The winner had eased off his heels, and this very vigorous, strong rider, Ty Aglin, who I rate so highly, he showed plenty of vigour and booted Zarbos 2 lengths clear, and he held a winning margin down to the line to win by 1 1/4 lengths. The favourite, well, it didn't start favourite. It did. Oh, yeah, yes, it did. Yes, it did. It started favourite, but didn't have a price. I'm talking about Jitterbug, who had the hood on today, was in 5th position in between runners, 4th or 5th in between runners. Jitterbug needs pace on all the way, needs everything to go right for it. It did run second, beaten 1 1/4 lengths, and the Salford Art, who was resuming from a spell, was $8.50 out to $18. Thank you very much. The owners never turned up to back it. It sucked along the fence from about 3rd last position to run 3rd, but having every possible chance. Run the race over again, and I think there could be some different results in this race. Jitterbug, as I say, we put it up the favourite and started favourite, but it didn't have a price. Literally didn't have a price. It went from $3.20 out to $4.80. Race 4, we only gave 94% here. Now these were the flux in this race. $5 out to $5.50 Crooked Blaze, back into $3.80 at one stage, but back out to $4.40 at the finish of betting. Sure and Fast went from $5 out to $6.50. Started Avery, started the favourite at $3.80. We had a carver, I should say. That's what they did to me. They carved me right up today and Saturday and at Wyong. I'm that carved up. I've got carved marks all over my body. I'm carved to pieces. Carver, $13 out to $18, back into $15. There was section for it, back out to $17. Country Warrior. Now this was the result for the captains, because I'll tell you what, they only gave 94 here, but there were a lot of runners backed, and there wasn't $6.50 given in the outside ring. Well, they only called it $6, so there was actually one less, or a half less, 93 and a half. The it was $4.60 out to $6, and an easy way for the captains. Race number 6 now. This is where it's no good at all, because Van Diemen's Land, it went from $3.50, a 5 to 2 chance. We put it up the 5 to 2 favourite, and at the end of betting, we were all screaming out, would the owners please, connections, the strapper, the trainer, friend of anybody who knows anything about this Van Diemen's Land horse trained by Paul Massara, please step forward. No one stepped forward. It was 5 to 2 to 5s. You couldn't give it away. 5 to 2 to 5s. $3.50 to $6 had its chance. Finish up running fifth. Number 7, Fig Tree. Gee whiz, this was extremely well backed. I didn't like it at all. I'm glad I didn't win. I laid it. It was $18 into $13 taken, Fig Tree, and settled down a clear last, 3 lengths, 2.5, 3 lengths behind the second last horse when they went out the back straight. But then Crooked Blaze and also I Own the Leads horse, Shamadale Gold, had set a very fast pace, and this runner, Fig Tree, was able to run on from last position right down the outside to only get beat about a long neck or a long head. A good run, but did get the pace to suit. Shamadale Gold, well, it was $11 out to 17 or 16, never had a price. Abisha, the runner from Melbourne, was 18 out to 26, back into 21. Dream Habit was $18 out to 26, back to 21. And the bottom one, Iron George, was $26 out to 81. The runner that started favourite here, Sure and Fast, it ran fourth, only beaten about 1.5 or 2 lengths maybe at the most. It got trapped, unfortunately, 3 wide, ridden by Bowl Blake Shin, and it did a fair effort resuming from a spell. Race 5, 100% neat we bet here. This race was won by Le Cordon Bleu. It came from last, ridden by Tommy Terrific Berry, rounded them up. It crossed and went to the lead, the Avery, ins and outs. Not very strong ins and out. It led on its outside, making it a little bit more difficult than it would have liked. That was Miss Alibi, sitting on its outside. And as I say, the winner, it came from last, rounded them up exactly like it did when it missed the kick at Hawkesbury, resuming 2 starts ago, and sailed down the outside to win by about a neck on the line, beating the favourite. The third place get a Floral Insight, who was backed from 40s into 30s after opening up a $26 chance, ran third, getting a good suck. It was very disappointing, supreme effort, and so was number 1, Terra Marta, in that race. The winner was a good win. Race 6, we only gave 96% here. Number 3 won this race, Happy Clapper. The difference between winning and losing here was between first and second, although the winner was a very good win. Worthy boys aboard. Bowl Blake Shin, the very experienced Melbourne Cup winning rider. He was able to let this loping galloper just settle wherever it wanted to do, and that was in second last position going down the back. They ran along a bit. King's Tariff on its outside. Now, who was it? Was it, I know it was 3 wide outside the leaders, Arquette. So it must have been, was it Oxford Heart? Yes, I think it was. Oxford Heart outside the leader. Tucked away third on the fence was Rocco in the House. As I say, 3 wide outside the leaders was Arquette. And getting a good suck up was ISO Rich, who was very well back from $13 into $8. And then there was a bit of a gap when they went out the back straight to the other 4 runners, headed by Leicester's Home, who was very disappointing. And in second last position was the favourite, Happy Clapper. As I say, it's got a nice big loping action. Will get over much further ground than today's journey. It sailed down the outside after easing off heels to grab ISO Rich, who was hard ridden coming to the turn. The margins were only about a head, and finding the line very, very well. Coming from last on the fence in between runners was Lola V, who was also well back for a roughie, 30s out to 50s, back into about $31, backed by this new pro that I'm talking about, who's champing at the heels of our #1 pro. He's going to take over, so you better start sending someone to the track, I'm telling you now, instead of betting with the Cancer of Racing. And it was only beaten about a half a length, Lola V, making up a lot of ground. Race 7. Here we saw our new pro win an absolute shite house full here. I must admit I didn't really like Hotspur, Harry Hotspur. We put it up a $5 chance, 4 to 1. It got out to as much as $8. Started well. They returned to $6. I was $7.50 when they jumped, but and I paid the penalty. Had a bad result on the race. Well, it was leading early on in the piece. Sakana Spirit, who had every possible chance from barrier 4, never to be backed again. It went forward also, Sons of God, the Sons of John, who was the favourite, but then by the time they'd more or less flattened out in the back straight, the runner that we all thought would lead did lead, and that was Harry Hotspur, but he was made a little bit of use of to get to that position, and the very well backed resuming Anio Dagus, it was trapped wide going around the first turn, and then his rider, Horseman Bowman, had no alternative but to go forward, and he slid up outside Harry Hotspur. Harry Hotspur won the race. I can't believe it, but it kept on kicking, and Anio Dagus, it ran last in the race, after being made a bit of use of, exactly like the winner, about maybe a little bit more of Chris Lee's horse, but it dropped right out, where Harry Hotspur kept on winning, kept on fighting on to win only by about a half a length, beating 2 runners who sucked off the fence and then getting off heels. The second horse getting off heels, finding the line very well ambivalent, and the other runner sucking up on the fence, the Explorer, having every possible chance. The favourite, Son of John, had every possible chance sitting in the 1-1 position, was very disappointing, and there were no excuses for the others really, although Absolute Anything was very wide. It settled down in last position, came very wide on the turn. That was about the meeting. If you were wire netting in any form, backing them to win the races or backing them to lose the races, I hope you finished on the right side of the ledger. Good evening.